7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
The promised land.
Yes, good morning, everybody. How are you all doing? I've definitely got a smile on my face, and I'm pretty sure that the microphone should be working absolutely sound this morning. If it isn't, let me know in the comments, but it should be. And Manchester United 3-0 winners there last night against Charlton. Manchester United agreeing a deal for Wout Weghorst. Wout Weghorst. I apologize. I'm going to pronounce it wrong, but look, you're just going to have to deal with it because I can't do it because it sounds like I'm going to spit every time I'm going to say it. But look, there's a big smile on my face. There's a big smile on your face. We've got City coming up next. We are nervous about that. Of course, we're nervous about that. We'll speak about that later in the show. I'm going to run through the latest from Fabrizio Romano on Wout Weghorst after an announcement last night that United have agreed a deal with Besiktas. I'll run through that. I'll also discuss everything about the game. Marcus Rashford, Facundo Pellistri's debut, Kobbie Mainoo's debut, Alejandro Garnacho's performance, Casemiro. It's a joke. It's honestly a joke how good Casemiro is. I had no idea. And it just, every single game I seem to be learning more and more about how good he is. We'll speak about Erik ten Hag, the fastest manager ever in Manchester United's history to reach 20 wins. Not 20 games, 20 wins. It's just, there's a good vibe around the club, man, in every sense of the word. And we're about to get new owners as well. On the pitch, things are all heading in the right direction. Off the pitch, we are still heading in the right direction, but we're still waiting on that. But there's so much to discuss this morning. I think it's going to be a pretty damn good show. Who's down in the comments? Have a look. Connor Maxwell, Julie, I can see you there. Ezzy, Pirolas, got Chetan, Nathan, Kieran, Alex Russ, Vlada, Alex, I can see you there. Ant, I can see you there as well. As always, Michael Parsons, Josh, Craig Warren, Kalechi, Stuart, Jordan. There's so many green names. It's unreal. Stephen Reacts, Dipesh. Rob Cook, you're on Facebook asking about Van der Beek. No word on Van der Beek yet. Dominic, I can see you there too. So many names. Good morning to all of you. I know I've still not got a face for him yet. You just have to imagine that he's somebody. He's like the hollow man at this particular moment in time. I've ordered a few faces, but any other suggestions, you can let me know in the comments. I just haven't got around. To putting a face on him yet. Let me off. But look, let's talk about, first and foremost, I'm going to start with the Weghorst news, bring all the updates there, because that's the important transfer news. Then we'll head to the game and react to everything from the game, because it really was a cracking game. JVD, let me know where you're watching from, buddy. I'll try and give you a shout out if I can see your name in the comments. But yeah, Fabrizio Romano, about an hour before the game yesterday, released this information. Manchester United have reached a full verbal agreement to sign Wout Weghorst. I understand the deal will cost around about 3 million euros to Besiktas. Weghorst will join on loan from Burnley, but the final step that is needed is that Besiktas will only approve the deal if they find the right replacement. A little update a couple of minutes ago. Reports from Turkey that Weghorst didn't train with the team today because they don't want to risk any injury. So if everything now goes correctly, we've got around about 48 hours to register Wout Weghorst in time for him to be in the squad to face City on Saturday. I think that's correct. I might not be correct, but I'm pretty sure I am. And I went on Twitter yesterday and I got into an argument, but I'm guessing the same people abusing me for looking for positivity in the Weghorst deal are probably the same people who were abusing me when I took quite a hard stance on Ronaldo. A stance which was proven correct in everything that happened and in Ten Hag booting him out of the club and Manchester United being a better team for it. I imagine they're the same people that are giving me that abuse. Now, Weghorst is not going to be a player who transforms Manchester United's season. We shouldn't, as Manchester United, we shouldn't be looking to signing a 30-year-old on loan in January from Besiktas to solve our attacking problems. But this is the situation we're in. We've got no fucking money. We've got owners who are selling the club. And I think in a bad situation, this feels like something that could help us. And I said on Twitter, I said, look, if Weghorst can come in now and contribute directly to between 10 and 15 goals. I don't mean he's going to score 10. I mean, contribute directly, goals and assists, being involved directly in the build-up to goals. If he can be involved in 10 to 15 across the course of the season, I think it's going to go down as a very good signing. And it's not really a signing that carries much risk. It's a short-term situation. And as I said, I don't know. Maybe it's because I just really trust Erik ten Hag. I can see it happening that Weghorst comes in with pretty little. I mean, you see what Schneider's saying about him, what the Dutch press is saying about him, and having spoken to quite a few Dutch people about Weghorst, they're all sort of explaining the same thing. Whenever he was at Alkmaar, he had people who doubted his ability, and whenever he was at Wolfsburg, there were still people who doubted his ability. Even when he was scoring 20 goals in the Premier League, there are people that have always sort of been Dutch commentators have been angry with his presence in the team because he's not a typical Dutch player. But he's always against that sort of wave of dissent. I don't know what you want to call it. Criticisms, doubters. He's done pretty damn well. And I don't know. I've got a good feeling about him because Erik ten Hag is our manager. I've got a good feeling about him. Fred, you're saying, Dan, ignore the pricks. I don't get upset. I try and help them see that they're being twats, if you know what I mean. I try and help educate because it's that their stance is so absolutely wild. Salt, we spoke about Kane yesterday for quite a bit of the video, and I no doubt we will be speaking about Kane in the future. Al, you're saying trust in Ten Hag, and Alex, you're saying the same thing as well, and it's exactly what I see. I just trust Ten Hag, and I think he's earned that trust in everything that the impact of the signings that we made so far. I don't think Weghorst is going to pull up trees, but I'm quietly positive that he can have a good impact on this second half of the season. That's what I would say. So let's read the latest from Mike McGrath as well from the Telegraph, saying the same thing that Fabrizio is saying. Manchester United have agreed that Weghorst loan. And we go down there. We've agreed the terms of the loan. And we're simply waiting for Besiktas to sign a replacement. And you know what the hilarious thing about all of that is that the replacement for Weghorst is going to be Vincent Aboubakar. I think Al Nassr have released him from his contract. But I believe the delay at this moment in time is because Vincent Aboubakar wants the same wages at Besiktas that he was on at Al Nassr, which I don't know what his wages are, but I doubt they're going to be the same thing. So that's the only slight delay. But isn't that a weird ripple effect, if you want to call it that? Ronaldo falling out, Ronaldo leaving the club, getting sacked. He goes to Al Nassr, disappears. Manchester United want to sign Weghorst on loan from Besiktas, and we've agreed a deal now, but they need to sign a replacement. And the link of all of that is going to be the player that has been displaced by Ronaldo going to Al Nassr is going to replace Weghorst at Besiktas. It's a weird circle, isn't it? It's just the way it works in football. But United are going to be so much better off with Weghorst and the situation we're in now than we were only a couple of months ago with Ronaldo, with a player who just didn't want to be there, a player who didn't want to play in Ten Hag's system, and a player who was and is one of the greatest goal scorers of all time. So commanded. Wow, it's just the circus around it all. I'm so glad it's in the past. I'm so glad Erik ten Hag did it. And I think United will be much, much better off now. And I just hope that Weghorst, I hope he succeeds. And he will, if he's got the sort of attitude that I feel he does, and the attitude that that Ten Hag feels he has, then I can really see him earning himself a 1-2 year deal off a 6-month loan spell. I really can. And as I said, I don't think it's something that anybody should really turn their nose up at. It would cost like 10 million euros in total to add a different option inside our squad, and then we sign another striker on top of that. And then all of a sudden we've got Martial plus Weghorst plus an elite striker like Kane or Osimhen just puts United in a far better position. So let's see, right? Weghorst knows full well that this is his one chance. He's got 6 months to prove himself in the Premier League at the highest level with a team that actually has the ball. He went to Burnley, he only scored 2 goals, but Burnley got relegated that year, man. He hardly touched the ball. He suits Ten Hag's system. He's got the right profile, the right attitude, and I believe that Ten Hag can make him a decent signing for us and the best of a bad situation. And yeah, all those detractors who were trying to effectively write off Weghorst before he's even kicked a ball for United, simply because he's not the sexy signing that they want. It's a weird flex, right? It's a weird flex. That's what I would say. Let me pull up a few of your comments on Weghorst down here. I mean, it does help, and the fact that he is an absolute like 6'6". He's a door. He's a big door, actually. Bigger than a door. Door and a bit. He's massive. And he's got that bit of dog in him. A bit like, well, Casemiro's got plenty of dog. He's just sharing it all around. Stu, you saying he will offer different solutions? Of course he will. And what my video this lunchtime, that didn't make any sense. My video at lunchtime is going to be about Weghorst at United. I'm going to take another. So I did a profile video on Weghorst and say, look, these are the elements that Weghorst will bring to United. I'm going to do that from a purely tactical perspective. I'm going to start taking a look at different 11s and different scenarios of how we can use Weghorst's assets in this team. So that's going to go out at lunchtime today, now that Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that the deal is agreed. We haven't got the here we go yet. We haven't got the official announcement, but I'm confident enough that I'm going to do that video that's going to go out today, because hopefully this all moves extremely quickly and we're getting Weghorst in for City on Saturday. So we need to think about that before. Hold the door. Hold the door. Big up Hodor. Big up Game of Thrones for the last season. Isn't it weird? Game of Thrones was like the thing that everybody talked about for months and months and months. And then that final season happened, and then everybody pretends it didn't exist. It's bad. It's bad. Although House of Dragons was good. No spoilers, no spoilers, no spoilers. We've got to talk. Well, look, we've talked about one person in this photo. We're going to talk about the second person in this photo as well, because Erik ten Hag has become the fastest Manchester United manager to reach 20 wins. And you know what's absolutely wild? And it will probably give you PTSD thinking about it, but we've now got as many wins this season as we did in the whole of last season. Horrendous football last season. It was we had the Liverpool 4-0, 5-0. We had the City drumming. We had, oh my God, the Wolves 4-1 when Solskjaer got sacked. There are so many games. There are so many games that you just kind of want to your mind just blanks off and pretends they don't exist. We have as many wins this season as we did in the whole of last season, and it's the 11th of January. We are riding on a wave right now. And I tell you what, this stat here, I think it's this stat here. It's not that stat here, but this stat here, we talk about the progression of Manchester United and the football under Erik ten Hag. This in itself is another separate video. It's just there's games every 3 days now. I've got so many ideas for so many great videos. Well, average videos, decent videos. But I can't get them all done because we're playing too often. But, you know, it's this stat here. So counter-pressing. Counter-pressing is when you lose the ball, but you win the ball back in the same area of the pitch within 8 seconds. Now, this on the right-hand side, you actually can't see it there. You might be able to see it if I do that there. Yeah, you can see that a little bit better. So this chart here on the right-hand side, the further on the right-hand side you go, that's the counter-press success rate. So the amount of times you win the ball back with your press. And the higher up on the vertical axis is how much that counter-press leads to a shot. Right? So Manchester United are the best in the Premier League right now at winning the ball back with counter-press. Liverpool are the best at those counter presses turning into chances. So Man United have got to work on that. But that there is a really encouraging stat. And that there, if we think about Weghorst and how he's going to hopefully help this team, I imagine he'll help those numbers increase even more. So there's quite a few people in the comments saying, guys, is Weghorst confirmed? I'm very fat. The deal was confirmed yesterday by Fabrizio Romano. The Manchester United have reached that agreement. What we are waiting for now is Besiktas to find their replacement for him. And yeah, I found that really quite impressive. I think Casemiro's played a significant role inside that. And we'll speak about Casemiro in a bit. But let's now take a look at that game yesterday. And there's only one player you can really start on, in my opinion. There are so many players that deserve discussion this morning, and we'll talk about all of them. But Marcus Rashford, man. Marcus Rashford. By the way, something I want to say here, before we do move on to that, I loved the fact that Erik ten Hag, after 60 minutes, we're 1-0 up, right? It's the League Cup. You could almost forgive Erik ten Hag for just kind of sticking with what he's got, leaving his big guns on the bench because we've got City at the weekend. But instead of that, Erik ten Hag, after 60 minutes, made a triple substitution. Puts on Rashford, puts on Casemiro, and puts on Eriksen. And it changed the last half an hour of that game. Casemiro directly involved in both goals. That pass out to Pellistri, he loves doing that, doesn't he? Like the half volley, just absolute fizzed balls. Oh my God, they're amazing. And the outside of the boot pass to Rashford too. Moi. Man, he's too good. I'm speaking about him later. But I appreciate the fact that Ten Hag was proactive in that sense. He decided that last half an hour of the game, instead of just trying to squeeze it out, sitting there defending deep, no, fuck that. Let's bring on the big guns. And Man United won 3-0. That's because that's good management. But back to what I was saying about Rashford. Mate, Rashford just keeps on going. Look at his form since he's returned from the World Cup. No player in world football has scored more goals than Marcus Rashford since the return of the World Cup. How many has he got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's got 7 goals in 6 games with 3 assists. 7 goals in 6 games and 3 assists. My God, that's untouchable form. That's untouchable form. No problem at all, dude. No problems at all. And it's wow. It is on a different level. And I thought this stat was really, really cool. Marcus Rashford is the first player since Wayne Rooney to score 8 games in a row at Old Trafford. And let's hope he makes it 9 games in a row on Saturday against City. He does have a good record. Well, I think he scored twice away at City. I'm not sure what his record is at home against City. He's got a good record at home against Liverpool. Rashford does like turning up at his big games. But we are just seeing a different form of Rashford. He's looking more like Mbappe than Rashford. I mean, from a skill set perspective, there's a lot of similarities to Mbappe and Rashford's game in terms of the pace, in terms of the direction, in terms of the athleticism. But Mbappe has just always been the final product, man, by comparison. But Rashford really is turning it on in style at this moment in time. Man United will be getting Rashford tied down to a new deal. He wants to be part of this going forward. And it's just very, very exciting to see. It is very, very exciting to see. And Ten Hag, I think, is part of that. But as we were discussing Rashford on the pod this week, and I think Matt made a pretty fair point that I think a lot of this, all the credit's really got to go to Rashford. He's working. He's worked for this, right? He's the one that's doing this. As much as Erik ten Hag is probably helping him along the way, Rashford himself deserves the credit. Let me go down here. Robert will speak about Kobbie Mainoo a little bit later in the show. He deserves. You're saying people down there saying that Mbappe is way more explosive. Yeah, Mbappe has got far more of a natural cultured finish than Rashford. Trust me, I'm not saying that Rashford is Mbappe. I'm saying there are similarities to his game, to their games and their styles of play. But Rashford's just taking himself up a couple of levels here. And it's really exciting to see. Rudy, you're saying he's finally healthy. Yeah, he is. Mentally healthy, physically healthy. It's just really, really fucking exciting. It is. He has scored, get this for a stat. Marcus Rashford has scored 15 goals so far this season now, which is 3 times as many, if I'm correct, as he scored in the whole of last season. That stat blew my mind. Just everything about all these crazy stats that are coming out about Manchester United's season so far. And Rashford himself deserves a hell of a lot of praise. What are you saying, Danny? Let's read a few more of your comments out. Half why Rashford is scoring is because not all. I spoke about that for some time about how United was certainly playing differently to accommodate for Ronaldo. Now that that's not happening, we're seeing everybody seems to have a better position in the team. As a team, we're just a far better unit. Someone I really have to give praise to for yesterday is Facundo Pellistri. Now, we've spoken about Pellistri quite a lot on this channel because we've always found it a little bit confusing as to why he's not been getting opportunities. It kind of didn't really make any sense. You're thinking he must not be doing something in training. Because as Ten Hag showed by playing Kobbie Mainoo, by what he's done with Alejandro Garnacho, he's not afraid to use youngsters in any way, shape or form. But Pellistri joined Man United. Do you know when Pellistri joined Man United? Type in a date and the year in the comments and I'll pull up the first one who's correct. Because it really staggered me when I remembered and realised just how long he's been at this club. And that was his debut. And in 10 minutes, he showed more than Elanga did in 80. And it's if Man United are smart, right? If Manchester United are smart, we send Anthony Elanga out on loan and Facundo Pellistri takes his place in the squad. We should be giving minutes to him. He was very direct. He was very effective. Abu, looks like you're first down there. Correct. It was October, I believe, 2020. That's how long he's been here. My God. And that was his debut. Meant a lot to him. This was him on Twitter. The day has come. Mind blown. Happy to make my official debut. And I think that we have to see more of Pellistri in the first team now. If we're looking at options on the right wing, mate, look at United's options. Like, take a step back and look at our squad. You've got Marcus Rashford dominating on the left, and when Jadon Sancho comes back, he'll be there on the left. So we've got Rashford and Sancho out on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, we've got Antony, who scored again yesterday. 5 goals in 10 starts he's got so far. I'll speak about Antony a little bit later in the show. Then, now, look, you've got Facundo Pellistri to play there on the right-hand side. Throw in Alejandro Garnacho as well on the left-hand side. Throw in Martial, who's going to be playing up front. Throw in Wout Weghorst, who's going to come in and give us an option to play through the middle. Our attacking options are looking good. And there really is, in my opinion, no place there for Antony Elanga. Simply put, is technically not good enough. Technically. Compared to the other players that we've got. Antony Elanga is somebody who's got passion, desire, work rate. Good. That'll get you so far. This Ten Hag team needs more than that. You need more than that to reach the top level. And I don't think Antony Elanga's got that. Amad Diallo out on loan. Absolutely crushing it at Sunderland. What's going to happen when he comes back? It's exciting. Wingers that... An exciting winger is the one that makes you shuffle towards the front of your seat. One that makes everyone stand up in Old Trafford. And Garnacho had an absolute corker of a game yesterday. Without a goal, he had an absolute corker of a game. In terms of Pellistri's future, this is what Ten Hag said about him. He goes, I see a future in Facundo Pellistri. It's very clear that he's progressing. I was also happy with him in the World Cup. Well done and keep going. I think that Pellistri now should be taking Elanga's game time and position in that squad. That's my opinion. And I'm sure a lot of you have that same opinion. He's just, I don't know. Elanga's just not good enough. Not good enough for this team going forward. He was exciting when he broke through, and he was electric, and he took advantage of that because the sort of the youthful naivety. No one knows who they are. But he hasn't built on that, unfortunately. Elanga's, if anything, kind of stagnated or kind of gone a little bit backwards. But let's see if I can... I want to speak about this lad next. before we move on. Where is he? Let me pull this up. Yeah. How good was Garnacho yesterday? We've got 2,200 of you watching the video. Make sure you drop a like on it. There's so many people joining in, and it's a good time to join the United People TV community. So make sure you subscribe if you are new. But Alejandro Garnacho, remember this, ladies and gents, he is 18 years old. 18 years old. And I'll tell you one thing I really enjoyed, and it's not the first time I've heard it from the TRA. Viva Ronaldo is now Viva Garnacho. I like that chant getting reworked for Garnacho because, yeah, he's very much looking, he's given similar sort of teenage Ronaldo vibes in terms of how much confidence he's got with the ball at his feet and how direct he is when he runs at a defender. I'm not trying to say that Garnacho is going to go on and have the career that Ronaldo did. But I'm just enjoying watching Garnacho play. He's such a direct, such a confident player. And for a lot of people, Matt from the pod especially, Garnacho's confidence and directness really jars with what we're seeing from Antony by comparison. Because Antony's not taking his man on. He doesn't have that directness. He doesn't run at a player with pace. But Garnacho does. I think he's unlucky to not get an assist and probably a goal yesterday. But he's 18 years old. Remember that. Yesterday, and I said it in my match reaction, Manchester United had 2 FA Youth Cup winners in that starting 11. 18-year-old Garnacho and 17-year-old Mainoo. And I'll speak about Mainoo in a little bit here. But it's just, I'm really excited to see what happens. Imagine how good Garnacho could be in 2 years' time when he'd be 20 years old. If he can stick to this path that he's on now, if he can stick with Erik ten Hag and keep going where he's going and focusing, imagine how good he can be in 2 years. It's quite frightening, really. I've said this to you before. Footballers are getting ridiculously good at a far younger age. Football, the quality of training, the quality of facilities is helping young footballers become better at a younger age. And I think Garnacho is another example of that. At 18, he really is, wow, he's exciting as hell. That's what I mean. Like, we've got options up front. Garnacho, Sancho, Rashford, Antony. Now throw Pellistri into that mix. Good. Good. I'm looking forward to the second half of this season. Casper, you're saying Argentina's next. I mean, look, Argentina have got to be excited about watching him. I mean, I think he's way more than decent, man. Way more than decent. I think you're underplaying how good Garnacho is there. Imagine Garnacho when he's Pellistri's current age. That's what I mean. Like, he's 18 now. If he can continue on the path that he's on, keep his head down, work hard, surround himself with the right people, because as we've seen with Ravel Morrison, you can be the most talented youngster in the world. But if you surround yourself with the wrong people, your mind gets distracted and it takes away from the progression on the pitch. But I imagine he's going to stick to what he's doing. John, let me know where you're watching from, buddy. Look, this I would agree with, right? Garnacho's got a little bit of self, because Garnacho has, up until this point in his career, he's always been the best player by far in any team he's been in. So he doesn't want to pass. He's like, well, I can do it better than everybody else. But now he's in Manchester United's first team. He's surrounded by players who are just as good as him. So he has to be able to use them, and don't just always keep your head down. But that's something he'll learn in age. As I said, he's only 18. That will come in time. That will come with coaching. It's exciting, man. It really is exciting. And somebody that I think really deserves a bit of focus and conversation is this man. Antony yesterday with an absolute perler. Absolute perler. Just cut inside, curled it in. It's one of those ones that hits the side, just misses the post and hits the side netting, and then it bends around the net. Antony's got 5 goals in 10 starts for Manchester United. For any new signing, that is a very, very, very good start. But with Antony, we all know that there's far more to his all-round game that he needs to improve. I think this in itself kind of deserves, again, this deserves a video in itself. Antony I don't know whether it's, I don't know what it is. I'll be completely honest. Because is it a confidence thing? I mean, he's scoring goals. Like, he does have confidence. I just don't know why he's not going around the outside. We all know that he's a massively one-footed player, which I'll be honest, like, I don't think you really should be a one-footed footballer. If you're a professional footballer, you should be able to train yourself enough that you can use your right foot. Surely. And I imagine Ten Hag will be working on that with him in training. But 5 goals in 10 starts really is a fantastic return for a winger. And if you ask me, right, if you gave me 2 options, you go, right, number 1, you can have a winger who's taking his man on, who's dazzling with footwork, but who ultimately has no end product. And then you give me another winger that is struggling with beating his man, is struggling with sort of taking his man on and creating opportunities, but has got 5 goals in 10 games. Which one am I going to prefer? I'm probably going to go for the one that's giving me the end product. And that's what Antony is doing right now. The end product is there, but his all-round game needs a lot of developing. And that's going to come down to coaching. That's going to come down to Antony himself. But there is a top draw footballer there. I'm convinced of it. I don't think Ten Hag would have spent 85 million on him if he didn't think that he was convinced of it as well. As I said, 5 goals in 10 starts. The players seem happy for him. I don't know. Let's see. Look, again, if Antony goes against City at the weekend, kind of has a little bit of a stinker in terms of not beating his man, like the opposite of Garnacho. Garnacho is somebody who's just beating his man. Just making everything look easy and creating chance after chance, but doesn't get an assist or a goal. And Antony doesn't really do much on the right-hand side, but then bangs in a wonder goal. Well, fuck me. I'd rather have that. I don't know. I think the point I've always reiterated with anybody when I get into the conversations around Antony, I said, if he didn't cost 80 million, that the expectations that you have on him would not be the level that you have. But Antony, the thing I would agree on is Antony does have to, he's got to get his, I don't know what it is, I'll be honest. I don't know what the solution is. But Antony has to add that to his game. He's got to be able to go on the outside of his defender. Otherwise, it's simply too easy to defend against him. And City will be too good at that. Cancelo will be able to double up with whoever, whether it's Gundogan, whether it's De Bruyne, whoever it is that doubles up on him, will just be able to cover the inside, cover him cutting to the edge of the box so he can't shoot because they know full well he's not going to go on the outside. So that's dangerous. That could happen against City. And if City are smart, they'll be defending him like that. So therefore, he's got to add that unpredictability to his game. He has to be able to go on the outside. And that's going to be down to, as I said, Antony and coaching from Erik ten Hag. But 5 goals in 10 starts, I tell you what, I'm happy enough with that. Dan, you're saying Pellistri's movement was an eye-opener. Pellistri just had a really good game, man. Pellistri had a really, really good game. And one thing I want to say now before moving on to talk about Kobbie Mainoo, because I was impressed. I think that's the best way to go. After the first half, I said it. I felt like he looked nervous, and I kind of regretted saying that because I don't think he would look particularly nervous. But I'll speak about him in a bit. But first things first, can we just take another little moment here? Another little moment to appreciate the fact that we've got Casemiro. Thank you, Veronique Rabiot. The queen that we never knew we needed. Casemiro, man, he's just so good. It's almost unfair how good he is, honestly. Because we all thought that we were signing an enforcer. Now, I think that's the thing that keeps going around in my head. We all thought that we were signing this enforcer, this pure defensive midfielder who's like, yes, finally our back four is going to be protected, and they are, and he does do that. But he can bring the ball forward with such class and such ease. I told you that half volley pass to Pellistri was just like a daisy cutter. Just didn't come more than like 2 feet off the surface. Didn't need to. Just perfect, right to his feet. And the outside of the foot pass to Rashford. It's imagine calling him a steady Eddie. It's My God. I love Martinez, right? I really do. But can you have two man crushes at the same time? Or you got to share the man crush. You got to choose. I don't want to choose. I don't want to choose. I don't know who our player of the year is so far. Because Martinez, for me, I'll tell you what, it's going to be difficult. Let's just leave it to the end of the season before we need to have these conversations, because I don't want to have these conversations now. But Casemiro, and I say this, and I absolutely mean this, if we get a result against City on Saturday, I think it's going to very much be down to Casemiro. And something I said in the podcast, which is really, really important, and I'll say it in my match preview, which is going to go out tomorrow at 12 p.m. For the first time in so long, Man United are going into a derby, and I genuinely think that our midfield might win. Our midfield might dominate. Our midfield might win that battle, because for so many years, we've just had to watch De Bruyne, Silva, Gundogan, Yaya Toure. I mean, you can go far back if you want. City's midfielders just run rings around us, absolutely run rings around us. And it's been horrible. And it's made the game not enjoyable to watch. I don't think that's going to be the case on Saturday. I think Casemiro is just going to, I'm just excited for it. I really am excited for it. We'll speak about the derby in a little bit. But Eriksen will be coming back into that team, of course. Now, from the opposite end of the spectrum, you've got Casemiro there, the established 5 times Champions League winner. And you've got 17-year-old Kobbie Mainoo. 17-year-old Kobbie Mainoo playing for Manchester United. Making his debut for Manchester United. What a day of debuts it was, by the way. 17-year-old Kobbie Mainoo. How old is Pellistri? Was he 20? Facundo Pellistri. 21. Look at that. 21-year-old Facundo Pellistri. And how old is Tom Heaton? Tom Heaton. 36. 36-year-old Tom Heaton. Look at that. 3 debuts yesterday. And Kobbie Mainoo, I think, will be proud of his debut. I think he'll be happy with his debut. I don't think it was a game where he particularly took the spotlight, but central midfielders don't really have to. A lot of good central midfield work is just making sure, and as you're saying down there, is that you don't look out of place. You're good cycling of possession, good tackling when needed. It wasn't perfect from him, but it didn't need to be perfect. And I felt it was very interesting that Erik ten Hag decided to give Kobbie Mainoo his full debut there for Manchester United ahead of Zidane Iqbal. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think Zidane Iqbal started for Manchester United. I know he's come off the bench. You might correct me. I might be wrong. I don't think he started for United in a professional game. And I think it's telling, because Iqbal was really impressive in the preseason. But remember this, okay? Erik ten Hag, for the preseason tour, Erik ten Hag, the youngsters that went on the preseason tour were recommended to Erik ten Hag, I believe, by Darren Fletcher. Because ten Hag didn't know enough about the academy players, he had to take recommendations from his coaches as to which players they felt were ready for the first team. So that's why Iqbal went, and that's why Savage went, and that's why they got their opportunities. But now here, oh look, Tom Heaton played versus Young Boys in 20. Okay, my bad. Either way, he hasn't played that much. Are you sure? Did he play Young Boys? I'm sure he will. But ten Hag, this is what I mean. It's quite telling. Kobbie Mainoo's been training with the first team quite a lot. And the fact that Mainoo was given a little nod ahead of Iqbal, I think, is kind of telling as to how much he's been impressing ten Hag in training. And it's really exciting. As I said, it's the perfect time for these youngsters to be coming through into this first team, because Erik ten Hag is their manager. What a time for us to win the FA Youth Cup. What a time. He came off the bench. Sam Rangnick brought him on. Last night was his full debut. Okay, there you go. I thought I was right. Jonathan, you're saying Mainoo sounded so thrilled and grounded when he was interviewed afterwards. I need to watch that interview. I'm excited. Chinedu, of course he is. When he's been playing with the lower divisions, anytime you've ever watched Mainoo with the youth teams, Mainoo has been somebody who sort of he stands out. He's head and shoulders above the age group that he's playing in. That's the first time that he's played in a team of men, and he didn't look out of place, and that in itself is a really big positive for him. Nathan, I can see you down there gifting 5 memberships. What a don. Good morning to you, my friend. Who are the lucky 5? Andy Moore, Hassan Mohammed Bakiet, Zain Ali, and Daryl Hart. You are the lucky 5. Look at that. Some of you got some badges too. Gifted memberships. Gotta love the generosity here. Gotta love the generosity. Andy Weatherall, you're saying Tom Heaton's full debut was last night. I thought it was his full debut. Isn't there? There's so many reasons to be positive from that game yesterday. So many reasons. From Mainoo's debut to Pellistri's cameo to Rashford scoring 2 to Casemiro. And I know it was only Charlton. Sure. I know it was only Charlton. But Man United now, we've played 18 games since we played City last time, and we've lost 1 of them. I think that is 8 wins in a row. I think that's 10 wins out of our last 11 games. There or thereabouts. It's very, very impressive. The momentum continues to build. And that's what you do when you're a winning team. You pile wins one on top of the other, and winning becomes the habit. And if you don't win, it jars, it stands out, and the players don't like it. That's why these sorts of wins are so important. You make winning second nature. You don't have to argue about it. Matt, you're saying slow down the YouTube comments. No, not at all. You need to read out some Facebook comments. You need to do it more. Fans here have to. I do read it as much as possible, Matt, but there is typically far more YouTube comments than there are Facebook. So it's not a case of picking and choosing. It's a case of whenever I look away from the camera down to these comments, whichever ones are on screen at that point in time, they catch my eye. So it's just random. Alex, as always, man, the legendary Alex has gifted 5 memberships too. Proper legend of the channel. Robert, Gargi Snowman, Beastie McGee. Some serious names here. Prabhas and Siva Prakash. You are the lucky 5 there. Let me know where you're watching from, everyone. Rudy, yep. He did say that yesterday. Well, no, he didn't say that we're leaving after the World Cup. He said that he will be looking for opportunities in January, looking for a loan spell. And I said, if Manchester United are smart now, because I think Everton have been linked with a loan move for Antony Elanga. We've got Pellistri there. I don't really see a purpose. I think Elanga's now, we've got Antony, and then we've got Pellistri. So that means Antony Elanga's 3rd choice on the right wing. I'm not sure he's ever started on the left wing. And we've got Martial, and we're about to get Wout Weghorst in, which means he's 3rd choice up front. And he's not a striker in any way, shape, or form. So because of that, send Elanga out on loan. His career is stagnating a little bit. Maybe a loan spell will help him and serve him well. But in my opinion, I think Antony Elanga is a player that we will probably be selling in the summer. So I think just loan him out. Maybe you can go to Everton. I think Everton would be a good club for him. But technically, he's not good enough for this. And I mean technically on the ball. His technical ability is just not high enough. Somebody I want to speak about yesterday. I can see it down there. Cotty is saying he won 0% of his ground rules. He's kind of saw a little bit of good and a little bit of bad from Maguire yesterday. In terms of the good, his distribution in the first half was pretty good, I think. His diagonals to Garnacho was creating a lot of opportunities. Kieran, you're watching from Dublin. Nice to see you there, buddy. A lot of good opportunities, but there was a couple of points especially. Like, Maguire, one of the worst traits of Maguire, and I will never understand why he does it. When Maguire lunges in, Maguire he breaks the line of defense. He steps forward, steps up like 10 yards to try and win the ball, and he doesn't win the ball, and then you can spin in behind him. And it's exactly what happened yesterday. I think it happened twice, but Martinez was wary of it and stepped in to stop that turning into a problem for United. It was, the best and the worst of Maguire yesterday. But as I said, and as I maintained, Maguire, when he plays alongside Martinez, will be a better defender because Martinez will be able to cover for his flaws, whereas Lindelof can't. Lindelof and Maguire, they've got the same weaknesses. So you play them alongside each other, it creates just this weakness that no one can cover. But yeah, I thought Maguire played okay yesterday. But that's a pretty accurate way to describe it. Maguire needs somebody alongside him to make sure that he's not misbehaving. And he's the one with the armband on, which doesn't really make any sense. Because it doesn't really make any sense. And yeah, I hope full well that Martinez is going to be fit and ready to play City at the weekend. Because we need him alongside Rafa Varane. Yes, we do. We need Martinez, Varane. I was pretty good with my starting 11 yesterday, wasn't I? I got the front three right. Elanga, Garnacho, and... Who else started for United yesterday? Elanga, Antony. There we go. Mind blank. Got the midfield nearly right. I got Fred McTominay, and I said Iqbal, but it was Mainoo. Would never have guessed that. And the back four, I got Martinez and Maguire and Malacia, but I didn't expect Dalot. Now, Dalot went off injured yesterday. Erik ten Hag has spoken about him after the game. Erik ten Hag said it was more a precaution than anything for Diogo Dalot to go off. And I hope full well that it's not an injury because Dalot's just good. I'm saying that, though. Wan-Bissaka, if Elanga was street smart, and that's a bit harsh, that offside goal yesterday when the ball was fired over, Wan-Bissaka, first time body cross across to Elanga and he was offside. Yeah, it was kind of the defense stepped up a little bit. Maybe I'm being too harsh on Elanga. But Wan-Bissaka has really stepped up and stepped in for Diogo Dalot since his absence. And it's been very, very impressive and very, very unexpected. There's a comment there from Fred that caught my eye. Where is it? I predicted 2-1. I predicted that United would win, but it wasn't exactly a spot-on prediction. 3-0. I wouldn't say it flattered Charlton at all because I think if United had a clinical edge to our finishing yesterday, it probably would have been arguably 3-0 before half-time. Second half, they came back into it. I mean, did they even have? I don't know. Tom Heaton, by the way. Compare Tom Heaton's performance there to Dubravka against Burnley. Chalk and cheese. Dubravka just all over the shop, and Tom Heaton was just calm. And there was one long throw. He did quick long throw to Garnacho, which led to a chance, which was really, really good. Mike, watching from the Netherlands, saying Ten Hag is the best thing that's happened to United in 10 years. Well, you won't get me disagreeing with that. I'll go back to this stat there. The fastest Manchester United manager to reach 20 wins. And it's steps, isn't it? It's building. It's steps and steps and steps. I'll be honest, I probably should have predicted 3-0 last night because 3-0 is, it seems to be United's score. Was it Forest? It was Bournemouth. It's Charlton. I'm not going to predict 3-0 against City. I don't know what to predict against City. We'll have a little conversation about City in a minute or two. But I want to go back here to Ten Hag. I've been so positive about Ten Hag ever since it was confirmed that he was going to become our manager. Because I felt he was right. I felt it was the right time in his career for him to come to United. Because he's got everything to prove. And I think all of his energy has gone in to turning Manchester United around. And it is working, man. It is working. We are still a work in progress. There's every chance that we could come off Saturday's performance and we might lose to City. Does that take away from all the good work that we've seen so far? No. But one thing you can absolutely guarantee this time, and I can say guarantee with confidence, is that Man United will put in a performance against City. Maybe we'll fall a little bit short. Maybe the quality of City will just perforate and come through and will just be a little bit too much for us. But it won't be like it was away at City. In that month gap we had since Arsenal at home to City away, that won't happen. There will be a performance. Whether we come out on the right side of that battle is going to be interesting to see. Now, Pep Guardiola has been speaking about the game. He's teasing ridiculous play. You know what Guardiola's like playing Champions League finals without holding midfielder and weird shit like that. That's really worked out for you before, hasn't it, Pep? Pep is a good manager. Pep does sometimes have curveballs that surprise managers. It's what's your take on this game on Saturday, sorry. Because we were speaking about it on the podcast this week. I'm saying that quite a few times. Honestly, it's one thing that I would love. There's so many of you that tune in here, and there's probably not that many of you who listen to the podcast. Let me drop the link to it down here. It would mean so much to me if you can go over to wherever you listen to podcasts and just give it a 5-star review. It might take you a minute or two, but it would make a big, big difference. What's your predictions? What's your question? The big questions you think ahead of the game on Saturday? And you're saying it'll be a tight game, but City will be scared of hitting us hitting them on the break. John, with how busy work is at this moment in time, I can't go to the game. I've had to give my my ticket up to a pal. But I will be going up soon. I will be. It's I expect this game on Saturday to be one of the most competitive derby games that we've had in some time. Now, I know that we beat City under Solskjaer. I remember that game was 2-0 when McTominay scored the last minute, one when Edison booted it to him. There's been games where we've won. There's been games where we've been competitive, yes. But I just feel that this here on Saturday will be where we really start to see, going back to this stat here. Is it that one? No, it's this one. Manchester United and Man City are the two best counter-pressing teams so far in the Premier League this season. Man United are flying high. We are the informed team in Europe, all of Europe. And it's the perfect time to play City. Beastie down here in the comments, mate, Old Trafford. The atmosphere for the Liverpool game I went to early this season was one of the best. It was my first time in TRA, actually. And it was the best atmosphere that I personally have experienced at Old Trafford, I think. I'm pretty sure it was. Certainly in how the feeling was around the club going into that game as well. But is it a completely different feeling going into this game? When we went into that game against Liverpool, we came in off the back of, was it Brighton and Brentford? And that was the beginning of four wins in a row. This here, going into this game off the back of 18 games where we've only lost one. We're going into the back of this game, I think, with 7 or 8 consecutive wins at Old Trafford. Marcus Rashford scoring in 8 consecutive games at Old Trafford. I'm not going to go as far as to say it's a fortress yet, because it's not. Let's get this going across the course of the whole season. But Manchester United really are starting to turn Old Trafford into what it fucking should be. Old Trafford was almost a hindrance. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, remember that? He went a whole season undefeated away from home. And our home form was put by comparison. Old Trafford should be a place that teams are shit scared to come to. It was once upon a time, and it should be again. And when we're starting to sort of believe that is the case. That's what I mean. Like there's just an unwavering amount of belief going through this team. But Saturday is going to be, I would say this, Mark, you're saying if we lose, we'll lose with swagger, as much as you can lose with swagger. I know exactly the point you're making. This is, in my opinion, going to be the first time that we really, truly see Ten Hag's style of football that he wants to see with an informed team, with the players that he's got against Guardiola. It's going to be kind of going toe-to-toe. Two similar kinds of styles of football. And Man United, as I said, we haven't gone into a game like this with a feeling like this in some time. And it's a big if, of course it is. Because in my opinion, beating City is not the measure of Manchester United's progress this season. I've always said that. The start of this season, I included Liverpool into that, but then Liverpool have just been shit, so kind of irrelevant. I've always said that City, the marker of City is a step above where our progress can be this year. But if we can come into this game now against City, if we can get a result, from this game, if we can beat City, the amount of confidence that's going to put into this team is going to be immeasurable. The amount of confidence that's going to give United fans is going to be insane. Not in a bad way, not in an arrogant way, but just that belief in yourself. You go, actually, no, fuck, you know what? We actually can compete with City. Because the majority of us, we still look at City and go, nah, man, we're not quite there yet. And that sort of that could change with the right sort of performance and the right sort of result on Saturday. And that is what I'm looking forward to. I'm going to read a few of your comments out down here. Last couple of minutes of the show, I answer as many of your questions and comments as possible. What I would ask you, please, if you haven't already, drop a like on the video and subscribe. Become part of the community if you haven't. It's a good time. Weghorst is going to be announced hopefully today or tomorrow. Could be back with another stream. I've got a Weghorst tactical video that's going to go out at lunchtime today. Jonathan, you're saying get physical and aggressive with them from the off, like the Liverpool game, and we will do that. Unquestionably, we'll do that. Be interested to see whether Fred starts, because we're talking about the counter-pressing game. Fred is one of the best at that. But would you do that and take Eriksen out of the game? That would take away some of your creativity. There are some tactical questions that we have to ask about what would be best. Alex, you're saying Casemiro versus De Bruyne would be crucial. Just Casemiro. I'm just going to be looking at Casemiro, man. I'm just going to be looking at Casemiro on Saturday. He's the most important player for us. At the end of the day, says Carl, United have got nothing to lose. Win will be praised. Losing, the pundits will say we're not quite there yet. And I agree with that. It is a game where we've got nothing to lose, but everything to gain. And I think that's kind of what Ten Hag will be telling his players. Yeah, Ricky, I would agree with that as well. Like, City are not infallible anymore. They're not. No one's infallible this season. City, Newcastle, hell, Liverpool, Chelsea, they're in 10th. Arsenal, we've already beaten them at Old Trafford. Everything is to play for. Or you're saying, well, do you think he'll be in the squad? I hope so. And it all depends on how quickly we now get this done. How quickly Besiktas agree Aboubakar's wages and get him in. The sooner that's done, the sooner we can get him in. As I said, I think we have to register him by about lunchtime on Friday in order for him to be eligible to play on Saturday. So we need to move shit quickly. We've got 48 hours. United, up to you. You see it down there. I'll be honest, I'll be happy with the draw as well. I think a draw will be a good result. Imagine we can get a draw against City, beat Palace and beat Arsenal. Jeez. Who do I think starts at the back against City? I'll save that for my predicted 11 video. Otherwise, there's no point in you watching it. How many points would you like from Arsenal and City? I'd like 3. But let's see. I'd like a minimum of 3, but I don't really know. Martinez versus Haaland. Well, we spoke about that, remember, the first game. And Martinez kind of didn't really square up with him that much. I'd like Manchester United to try and control a bit more of the ball against City than we have done in previous years. That's going to be hard. Cameron, you're saying, I think if we beat City, we show everyone how far we've come in Ten Hag's first season. And the reason is they dominate all games they play. It will be awesome to beat. It would be awesome to beat, man. It would be awesome. Jonathan, you're saying you would play Fred. Marshall saying a shiny head is going to win the derby. The question is who? Andy, if that happens, there's going to be some scenes. There is going to be some scenes. Ideally, it will be a free kick 7 yards out of City's area. Little pass on the floor from repeat his goal that he scored against Argentina. Fair enough. It's not a game with nothing to lose, but it is a game with everything to gain, if that makes any sense. Rashford to get a hat-trick. Oh, man, we are looking for Rashford in this game. Absolutely. But look, what a fantastic stream this morning. There's so many of you watching now. I could just carry on for another hour, but I'm going to cut it short so I can get that video done today on Wout Weghorst from a tactical perspective. Make sure you please, at this time, if you're still here and you haven't dropped a like on the video, drop a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. That was a cracking show. The feeling around the club right now, the momentum continues to build and build. That man right there, the fastest United manager ever to reach 20 wins. That man right there, one of the best signings we've made in the last 10 years and arguably the best. He's so good. And if we're going to win on Saturday, I guarantee you Casemiro is going to be a major reason. But big up to all of you. I'll see you at lunchtime today. Maybe we'll be here later on if we get the here we go from Fabrizio. We get the Weghorst deal being announced. I don't know. But bring on City.